just so you can focus before I go. If something happens to us after we get off this live, in the meantime, I just want you to know I have dropped paperwork, documents, information off to everybody around the world. And I'm telling all of you insurance holders that are watching this right now, if we are dead, there is no point for you to sit on that information. Do you hear me? No point.
Claims about Barack Obama and Joe Biden that the world. How did it get there? Take us through your story.
Well, you know, as young as I remember, I've been trafficked through many elite places. I went from the Buckingham Palace to under the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, still under the custody of Child Protective Services, the child welfare system. And everybody is so worried about the elite, and we could give those names of Barack Obama, Joe Biden. We know about Michelle Obama, that's a man. We know about Too Short. We know about Akon and Steven Tyler, and we can give those names all day, and everybody is so worried about that. But what you should be worried about is the people that are in between, the people that go as low as your grave diggers. I was trafficked to people within my schools.
Katt Williams just dropped something wild, something that got people doing double takes. According to him, Allie Carter didn't just vanish, she was taken. And listen, before we go any further, let's get this out the way. Everything you're about to hear is based on claims, allegations, and sources close to the situation. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to lay it out exactly how it's been said. Now, one of Allie's last live streams told us everything we needed to know about how real things were getting and how scared she was. In it, she straight up named Diddy and his circle. According to her, this wasn't just about freak off. Nah, she said they were running deep exploitation rings involving vulnerable people transferred from poor countries, some given up by their own parents, and brought to the US to be used in ways most people couldn't stomach hearing.
You knew these parties were not okay. They weren't freak-offs. They were satanic ritual. And one of those children were me. Bullshit. You see all the people running? They're ducking and hiding because everybody knows that there was children there. But we're still not talking about the kids yet. When are we going to talk about the kids? Everybody's demanding something from the victims. Why aren't you demanding it from the news? You know he's about to turn into another Epstein, and then the list follows and it circles back into a web. So why isn't anybody demanding any information on the kids? Do you think that thousands of bottles worth of baby oil was for thousands of who? $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza was for who? Over the border was for who? Child Protective Services is your supplier. Is anybody gonna talk about that?
One of the most disturbing moments, Allie went live and told the world that some of these peep ones were forced into acts that we can't even talk about. She said, horses, dogs, so y'all connect the dots. She said, this happened while grown men stood there watching, touching themselves like it was some kind of twisted show. And that's not all. These people were allegedly chained up and used in satanic style rituals. What she described was so crazy, I can't even talk about it.
Somebody will on the floor, somebody will piss on the floor, a guy will come on the floor, a female will squirt on the floor, and they will bring in a child to walk through that, to play in it, to lay in it, to put on their body, to lick it, to see if they can walk around and act like a dog, to lick their shoe, to see how well their gag reflexes are. It's a gag reflex check.
But she didn't stop there. She claimed she was there, witnessing this madness while working inside the industry. And the people who survived, they were never the same again, mentally or physically. She even said many didn't make it out alive.
There were babies that were 6 years old, and I'll never forget them just crying, and everybody was just staring at them. Everybody was just staring at each other. Nobody knew whether or not to move. I was freaked out. And I got up and I held her. And they opened the truck and they took her from me. Because they said she was already sick.
Right after all this came out, Allie disappeared. Not slowly, just gone. No live streams, no social media, no updates. Her family went public, begging for help. According to several sources, they never got any ransom demands either, which made things even more intense. If it was about money, someone would have asked, but nobody did. It looked like whoever took her didn't want anything back. They just wanted her gone.
When Allie was put in foster care, I was advocating for her, and I was reporting back, and I was writing reports and turning in reports to CPS based on the abuse she was telling me that she was experiencing while in foster care. At first, they embraced me and they were allowing me to have visitation with her. When I started making too many waves, they turned everything back on me. They filed a court order that said I was a predator to Allie, and they were telling me I was not allowed to have contact with her because they were trying to silence things, and they were using that as a means to scare me. Shortly after that, Allie went missing from CPS care. She was AWOL for over a year. After that year was up, they placed her with me. They said I was a good home and a good fit for her, and they allowed her to be placed in my home. Those are two opposite things in a very short time, but they do that to a lot of parents. That's a tactic they use to silence people.
Thing is, Allie had already been warning people. She said it straight up before all this went left, that strange men had broken into her home. She made it clear these weren't random thieves. She believed they were sent operatives hired to track down and erase whatever evidence she might have had on the people she was naming.
Just so you can focus before I go, if something happens to us after we get off this live, in the meantime, I just want you to know I have dropped paperwork, documents, information on to everybody around the world, and I'm telling all of you insurance holders that are watching this right now, if we are dead, there is no point for you to sit on that information. Do you hear me? No point. No car accidents. There will be no fires or overdoses. But if there is one, can you read between the lines? There's a call from the prisons. Someone thinks that they have a green light on us that they don't even know what they're talking about.
And she had proof. In one post, she showed her house trashed, furniture flipped, electronics smashed, personal stuff torn up. Luckily, she wasn't home at the time. But the message, loud and clear, they knew where she lived and they were getting closer.
You don't believe me? Here you go. What once was a full house, we were still paying rent on our house. What we were doing this whole time was moving everything because our house is gone. Our house is gone. This is the price of speaking out. This is the price of speaking out.
After that, she recorded one of the most emotional messages she ever posted. Her voice was shaking. She wasn't even talking about the break-in. She was venting about the silence, about the people who were supposed to support her but were too busy arguing online.
You get re-victimized again by people who wanted to argue a back and forth this week like that mattered. Okay, you had Stu Peters and Timothy Charles Homestead going back and forth, and nobody has even bothered. Not that I give a damn, and not that I understand that you guys are gonna be that selfish, but nobody has bothered to apologize for all the hell that.
And as for the people allegedly behind everything, here's what she said.
Standing Rock Avenue, because everybody has the address, because organizations that were attached to Marx, Sawyer, and many other organizations decided to put out the address, my license plate to one of my cars, and many other of my shit. So here you go. You can have it, right?
And you know what? She didn't seem like she was lying. Then came details that made people's stomachs turn. She started describing these underground auctions. And we're not talking metaphorically. Buyers would come in, check their teeth, their body cavities like they were test driving something before making a purchase.
Picture of a baby. They got a picture of a bunch of kids tied to a wall that's actually an auction. They're tied to a wall and they're hanging on the wall. That's another form of an auction. Some auctions are very pretty. Some you get to stand, some you got to be naked. I had some really weird auctions. Some you're tied to a wall like produce or like retail. and basically like you're picking a t-shirt or you're picking clothes, buyers come through wherever you're at, wherever they put you, and they literally like, okay, there's a white kid, there's a black kid, there's an Indian kid, there's a girl, there's a guy. They check how big your dick is, they check how much space your vagina has, they check your teeth, they check your anal cavity, they check everything.
And it didn't stop there. One of the most horrifying things she spoke on was a ritual called pig night. Now brace yourself, this ain't easy to hear.
Somebody will on the floor, somebody will piss on the floor, a guy will come on the floor, a female will squirt on the floor, and they will bring in a child to walk through that, to play in it, to lay in it, to put on their body, to lick it, to see if they can walk around and act like a dog, to lick their shoe, to see how well their gag reflexes are. It's a gag reflex check.
Allie explained these weren't chaotic, random events. They were calculated, built around something darker, the extraction of adrenochrome. Most folks might have heard the word thrown around in conspiracy circles, but Allie said people don't really get what it is or how it's made.
And they're bleeding, then that takes more power because there's adrenochrome, there's power, there's control, there's extra money because you're paying to get rough. There's so much that you guys are not realizing that what this life is. These are children.
She explained that they weren't just consuming the red substance for shock value. The goal was to make it as potent as possible, and that meant pushing the victims to levels of terror most people can't even fathom.
And they say, oh, you know, she started bleeding, so now she's damaged. I don't want that one. Guess what? Now you're gonna get beat by your pimp because you started bleeding. You're gonna get beat because, and at first they were sampling you like they were gonna buy you, and now they're not gonna buy you. And then after that, then you go back to wherever. You gotta wait until the next job, the next auction, the next whatever is gonna be next.
So Allie wasn't just talking about secret tapes or baby oils. She had evidence on something that would have broken the entire industry from inside out. So when Allie went missing, those who were locked in already knew this wasn't a mystery. It was the next step in a horror show playing out in real time. That's when people like Katt Williams and Jaguar Wright stepped in. Jaguar, who had her own beef with the industry, wasn't about to stay quiet. She'd been through her own madness, from being hunted to getting locked up, but she survived. And when Allie vanished, Jaguar came forward with her own shocking reveal. She said the person behind Allie's disappearance wasn't Diddy. It was someone even deeper in the shadows. A true puppet master, someone organizing these takedowns of people who dared to talk.
People didn't want to believe it. That's why they attacked me when I took the air out of her story. But see, when Allie Carter came back and, also addressed it, now that's just dead. They wanted to believe those homies.
And Jaguar didn't stop there. She reminded people that both she and Katt Williams had been targeted too. She said Katt got hit with a home invasion, not just a break-in, but an attack where men came in while he slept. Luckily, the attempt failed, but the trauma, real enough that Katt started sleeping in a bulletproof Kevlar vest.
I've had home invasion robbers at my house. I've had 7 dudes in Cleveland come to the hotel room with their guns out and masks on.
You're kidding me?
No, so I'm like,
Katt never laid it all out himself, but folks close to him said he wasn't the same after that, and honestly, it tracks. Katt's always been the type to call things out, from shady contracts to strange behavior in Hollywood circles. Whether on stage or in interviews, he never bit his tongue, and in this case, his rep for telling the truth makes people stop and take these Allie Carter claims a little more seriously.
Cause P. Diddy be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Kid, I need to know. You here? Get your number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Because here's the thing, the longer Allie stayed missing, the more believable she started to sound. And according to several people in the know, Katt and Jaguar are working together behind the scenes to find her. Allegedly, before Allie went missing, she had already sent some evidence and audio to people like Katt for safekeeping. And that's why Katt, Jaguar, and a handful of others ain't letting this go. Because if even half of what Allie Carter said was true, then the rabbit hole goes way deeper than most people are ready to admit. Even some users on the internet couldn't deny it. One said, Allie is the most believable I've heard. Another added, this is why people don't speak out. This woman was brave enough to speak on this Hollywood, should be shut down, and she should be protected. So what's your take on this jaw dropper? Sound off in the comments. We're diving deep. And if you're here for unfiltered truths and eye-opening reveals, don't just scroll. Stick around and check out what's coming up next.